Welcome to the Love, Listen, Talk, Repeat podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Capewell. The topic of each episode is about relationships, the one with ourselves or the relationship with others. So let's get on with this week's episode. Welcome today to the lovely Lyn Smith. She is the Queen of Hearts. I'd like to hand over now to Lyn and allow you to introduce yourself, Lyn, and tell us more about what you do and why you are the Queen of Hearts.
Well, thank you very much, Wendy. I really appreciate you inviting me on as your guest. It's always special and lovely to connect with you. Yes, well, as you might have gathered from the title, the Queen of Hearts, that it might have something to do with love, dating and relationships, then you'd be correct. This is what I love to share with women, specifically around how to really step in or reclaim your natural feminine power and how to use that to either attract or create healthy, lasting, fulfilling relationships.
I think that's lovely because I think we've discussed before that I'm all for women in making their mark in the world. We've been, in some countries, we still are considered very much second class, if not third class citizens. But I think the trend in kind of countries like ours is that women are seeking their power, but they're to such a degree that maybe they're forgetting about their feminine power.
Most definitely. I absolutely agree. You know, we've been educated and parented, especially in today's modern society and recent previous decades, to be more like men. The reason for that, there's been more women going into the workplace and wanting their independence, which is quite right, and wanting equality, which is quite right. Fully 100% support that. But in doing so, we've took on a lot of masculine characteristics and traits to be more like men and believe it's a way to succeed. We use men as role models. And what I've actually discovered on my journey is that we all have masculine and feminine energy, but if you are a woman who is attracted to the opposite sex, then your natural, more dominant core energy is the feminine energy. And you only really need to default into your masculine energy if you're in a workplace environment and you need to take on those masculine traits, that's great. Or if you're in a sporting environment and you need to take on those masculine traits to be more competitive, yeah, that's great. Yeah. Or if you've been in a situation where you feel you're in danger, you need to protect yourself, then again, if you need to take on those masculine traits, that's why it's there. And it's all well and good. You have that masculine energy because it's there to protect you and to help you to feel safe. But where I think women aren't aware of how it impacts their life is in the context of their relationships, because if we still stay in that masculine energy when with a potential partner or an actual partner, then all that man is going to feel is another masculine energy in the room, and he'll feel challenged by that, and he won't even know why that is, because we're not being parented and educated around this stuff, have we? No. So quite often, if that's the case and you're finding that you're having conflicts with men, it's probably because you're still the one that's wearing the trousers in the context of that dynamic of that relationship. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does to me. And I do, when I work with particular clients I work with that have said, oh, well, she wears the trousers, or she says that I wear the trousers, I make all the decisions. But I also feel, you know, it's teamwork, isn't it? We're part of a team, and we can't, it's something about making the most of our best attributes from male and female. And I think it's instead of fighting and seeing the other person as an adversary, I think it's very much about building on our strengths and utilising that. That's how you build a team, surely.
Most definitely. And in the context of romantic relationships, what works the best within that specific context is creating the polarization of energies. So the more feminine you are, and you know, a lot of women actually think this as sees this as a sign of weakness. I'm not trying to teach women to be subservient, submissive, needy, desperate. I'm not teaching any of that. I'm not trying to take women back to the 1950s where they needed to be in the kitchen or just the domestic housewife. No. In fact, when I look at unhealthy relationships, they are the ones where that woman is the victim, usually in those relationships where she is the submissive, she is the subservient one. I'm not teaching that at all. That's the furthest away from what I'm teaching. I'm teaching the healthy feminine, which is then going to attract the healthy masculine. And the healthy masculine energy is the man that is very chivalrous. He's the protector. He's the assertive man that takes charge and takes the lead and wants to look after you and treat you like a goddess. Now, what woman wouldn't want that in a relationship?
Absolutely. Because I think some women, they want it all. They want to be assertive and, have all their, as you say, those masculine traits. But at the same time, they want to be taken care of. And I think, well, hold on a minute. You want your cake and eat it. You want everything your way. And that's not how it works, is it?
It isn't. Certainly, unfortunately, it's not their fault. At the end of the day, as I say, we've been educated and parented to be like this, and we're not realising how it impacts our relationships. Because what's happening now is we're getting to a point where we're almost being educated to be gender neutral. So our energies are very similar and they're hovering around a central point where sort of equally masculine and feminine, and you're attracting a man that's equally masculine and feminine. And there's no polarity within that situation. So at best, you've probably got a friendship rather than a passionate, alive relationship.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I feel that passion is there. When we meet each other, first off, that passion's there. And it's uncontrollable passion, isn't it? But once that honeymoon period's over, whether you're married or in a serious or not, that doesn't last. We know that. And then it takes more energy. But I think sometimes, how do we do that as women? That's what I'd ask you. How do we do that as women? Because I've got a feeling about it, but I'd like to know what you think.
The main thing is to relinquish control. If you know that you want to be in control of a relationship and take charge of that relationship, then that's probably on the back of some previous hurt, some previous conditioning, where you've probably been hurt at the hands of men, whether that could have even been your father or a family member or in a previous relationship. So if you feel like you need to be in control, that's putting your masculine suit of armour on, and you've not got an open heart within that relationship. And I know that I can relate to that. I had that with my ex-husband, and we were together for 23 years. I didn't know that I was contributing to that relationship feeling unfulfilled for me. It was a happy relationship, but I felt unfulfilled. I wasn't feeling alive in that relationship because I just wanted to be in control of it. I just wanted to take charge of it. I wanted to, because I'd been hurt previously, I just wanted to protect myself. But in doing that, I wasn't allowing him to be the man or the masculine energy in that relationship. And I wasn't realising I was contributing to exactly what I didn't want.
Yeah. So what does a man want then? What is a man looking for to feel? How do we play to that then? I don't mean play, but you know what I'm saying, make ourselves vulnerable enough. In what areas? Yeah.
It's about working on yourself first and foremost. It is around creating that healthy place where you feel great about yourself first and foremost. There's basically I described three states that women can actually be in. You can either be in your unhealthy feminine, where you're very needy, desperate, submissive, subservient. You're in that victim state where you're likely to attract a very toxic relationship, and you're likely to attract an unhealthy masculine in response to that, who's going to be treating you badly. He's going to be very controlling, possessive, and aggressive. So that's the unhealthy relationship. You've still got that polarization of energies in that relationship, but that's the unhealthy relationship, and that's the unhealthy polarization, and that's the worst place that you'd want to be. Then the next one is where you're the woman that is not realizing that she's in her masculine energy a lot of the time. forgotten how to use a natural feminine energy because we've been conditioned and parented away from that. And you might be very successful in your career, but not necessarily attracting the men you want, or if you are attracting men, then he's probably not attracted to you because your energy is very masculine and he feels that challenge within the relationship, and so it doesn't last very long. Or you're attracting more feminine men, which again you're not going to be lastingly attracted to, because most women want a man that's very masculine energy, and exudes that from a healthy place. So if you're a woman that's very much in your masculine energy, you're not going to be attracting the relationship you want. You're probably going to be attracting a friendship type relationship. And then the third state is what I teach. Teaching women to relinquish control, but from a place of knowing that you're safe, knowing that you're in a healthy place, knowing that you're confident, knowing that you're a magnificent woman, knowing that you don't actually need a relationship to feel great. Relationship is just like the cherry on top of the cake. And if you're in that place where you're that healthy, confident, nurturing, sensual woman who is exuding that feminine energy, you're going to attract a very strong, masculine man. And that's what men are attracted to. Attracted to the polar opposite. So if you're looking for a very strong, masculine alpha male that's red-blooded and full of passion for you, then you've basically got to learn how to use your feminine energy and reconnect with who you truly are again to get that and attract that.
Okay, yeah, that's really interesting. And I do get that. I think there are women who just flatten a man with words or with actions, and they're not even conscious that they are demasculating that man. They're almost castrating him with their ways of being. And I don't think women appreciate always how sensitive men are. Well, they're not allowed to be. Let's face it. Fortunately, now we're allowing it. More men are owning their not frailties, but that sensitivity, I should say. And they're allowing that. But too many women don't acknowledge that they have got that sensitivity, if only it were allowed. But you can do it in a way of just including them, I think, makes a difference, doesn't it? Just, how to, whatever it is. But sometimes asking can make a man feel 10 foot tall, can't it? Could you open this tin for me, for example? I mean,
yes.
We can all open a tin. We know we can open a tin. But isn't it lovely for a man to feel, well, I'm needed and I play a part in this world? That's just one little part of it. But I think they can get that, what am I wanted for? Sometimes it's just, in basic terms, just being a sperm donor.
Yeah, I think sometimes men do feel like that's all they are in relationships, which is very sad, I think the word equality has got misused a lot in recent times. Equality is meant to represent equal opportunities, equal resources, equal pay, equality in terms of what you can get offered, whether that's in the workplace or in life. Equality doesn't mean being the same as a man. It wouldn't be necessary for us to have the feminine and the masculine and the male and the female if we was all meant to be the same. Men aren't hairy women. They think differently, they behave differently, they look obviously physically different, and there's a reason for that. We're not asexual beings that reduce ourselves.
Exactly. And I think that you've hit the nail on the head there, haven't you? It is just that, well, we want them to be men, but we don't want them to be men. It's just, where do they find their place? As you said, I mean, after the Second World War, the Second World War was when women went out to work and they became able to work and not just stand behind the kitchen sink. And therefore, that it left men coming back from the war feeling they didn't have a place because that women had stolen their jobs. So they felt under threat. And then as the generations have gone on, I think they're feeling more and more, where do I fit in this? because women can actually buy sperm online.
Yes.
If they want a baby. Like, there isn't. So what do we want from our men? What is it that, they have so much to offer. We can't be the same because we're the ones that are the nurturer carers. Basically, they're the hunter-gatherers. And acknowledging that, I think, plays a big part in it all, doesn't it?
Massively so. Usually, normally in opposite sex relationships, it's the woman that's got the stronger, more dominant feminine energy and vice versa with the man. But, it's not always the case. I'm not saying within some women that their stronger core energy might be the masculine. You get that in same-sex relationships, for example. But for most, I think in opposite sex relationships, you have got that natural, more dominant feminine energy, and you just not educated or parented to be aware of this and the power of it. A lot of strong women think that, to show vulnerability is to show weakness, or they need to act like an airheaded bimbo. That's not the case at all.
Oh, that thing about vulnerability. Absolutely. I think for me, that vulnerability, that's when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with another person close to us, that's what deepens the relationship.
Massively. That vulnerability has got to be shown from a place of your feminine strength. It hasn't got to be shown from a place of you acting like a victim and being in an submissive, subservient place, because then you are going to be taken advantage of by a male who will take advantage of you and be a mirror for where you are currently in terms of where you may not realise that you are actually treating yourself really badly in your head, to be actually displaying those traits of being subservient and submissive and victim-like. We're not even aware that our own self-talk is contributing to us attracting what we're attracting.
Yeah, and I think vulnerability, as you say, it's not a place, as you say, of victimization, poor me, but it's actually allowing people to see more of us. So allowing your partner to see more of us. And I think there's something very valuable in that. It's not, as you say, it's being able to communicate more effectively. It's being able to speak your truth and not feel scared about it. It's about listening to your partner. It's about being able to cry and accept your partner can cry too. That isn't vulnerable. That isn't weakness. It's showing a vulnerability, but actually it's a very big strength, I think.
Massively. As long as it's from a place of, as I say, that inner well-being where you've done the work on yourself and you feel like you're in a great place where you're treating yourself bad and acknowledging, regardless of your past mistakes, regardless of past hurts, you are an empowered woman, you are a magnificent woman, you are a beautiful woman, and it's acknowledging that and believing that when you look in the mirror that, my gosh, who is this amazing person? And from that place, once you get to that stage, showing vulnerability, wow, that is such a powerful feminine trait that men really love.
Yeah, I think everybody does. I mean, just not in male and female. I think friends, because I can remember having that barrier so high, protecting myself for so long. I didn't want to show the shadow side of me, the side I didn't want to own up to very readily. But when I did and started really being myself, I found it's like lifting a great weight off my shoulders. I didn't have to pretend anymore. And I found people still like me.
Yeah. It's very liberating, isn't it?
It's very liberating. So I think in a relationship, you're right. It is that being able to show ourselves and know that we're not perfect and we don't have to be on a pedestal. We don't have to be perfect and we don't have to be all those things that we try to do in that honeymoon period, I think, because we're putting on a bit of an act. I want them to see me at my best and I want them to see we only look for the good things. We dismiss the bits we don't want to look at and vice versa. But it's not the reality of a relationship. It's when you let that guard down in yourself completely and then you notice all those things. Well, actually the fact that I'm not too keen on him cutting his toenails in front of the TV or whatever. Or the things that we found endearing when we first meet them, they can get very grinding. And it's all that stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
At the end of the day, it is about not, as I say, beating yourself up and not suddenly having the realization that, wow, I've been doing all those things and shoulding all over yourself. Don't should all over yourself. We've all been there. So if you recognize that you actually have been exuding these traits and they have been negatively impacting your relationships, or even to the extent where you might not even be attracting a relationship, then please don't beat yourself up, because we've all been in those places. You're not alone, in other words. And it's not your fault. We're not educated about this stuff, are we?
No, absolutely not. We just follow what we learned. That's probably, we learned it from our caregivers as children, that they demonstrated what we believe to be a normal relationship. And that's all we know, generally. And we take that as the pattern or a blueprint or whatever you want to call it into our lives. And it, good, bad or ugly, that's what we know. And that's what we base our relationships on.
Definitely. So I just want to say to anybody that's listening, if you do resonate with knowing that you've exuded some of these traits and it has negatively impacted your relationships, please don't feel bad about that. At the end of the day, we've all been in that place where we thought, oh my God, because we don't know what we don't know.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. Whenever I meet new clients, I always say to them, I don't understand what you're going through, but I can tell you I've had a lot of life experiences. I've earned every one of these wrinkles. Because that's it. Yeah, I would say I'm good at what I'm doing because I can help with relationships because I've screwed up enough of my own.
Exactly.
I've learnt the hard way. And this is what we want to help people with, isn't it, Lyn, you and me? Is for people to have happier and healthy relationships. So what is the one thing you'd like to share? What was it? The one kind of, what could somebody take away from this? What would you like to share with them?
I think what would be helpful, and I think you touched on this a bit earlier, Wendy, is to actually realise, we don't have to be the do-it-all type woman if you're a woman listening to this, because quite often, like you said, men do want to help and make us happy and be chivalrous. So give him opportunities to be. If you give him the opportunity to open the door for you, to pull your chair out or carry your bags, we know, like you said, Wendy, you can do all that for yourself. But if he's made to feel chivalrous on the back of doing that for you, and then you heap plenty of praise on him for doing it even more, watch him really come into his own in terms of feeling very masculine in being able to do that for you. And then on the back of any praise, wanting to do more.
Yeah, absolutely. And that one thing is, we always say, isn't it? I've got to say this one just before we finish, is that thing of, well, why should I thank him for washing up when I do it 364 days of the year? Because you want him to do it more. And therefore, if you praise him, you're more likely to get that. Whereas if you just nag and complain, then the chances are he's just not going to bother. And I think that goes across the board.
Yes, exactly. And men really rise up to that praise. They really do. That, like you say, we are different to men. It's just learning what actually helps them step up into their true masculine essence and energy. And that is one of the big things, is giving them praise on the back of an act or a deed that they do for you, and then watch them light up and want to do a hell of a lot more for you on the back of that.
Which makes for a lovely relationship. I've been delighted talking to you today, Lyn. Thank you again. I love that. I love talking to you. How is the best way of people getting in touch with you? I mean, I will put all the details of contact in the show notes, but the easiest way, if someone's just listening.
Okay, I think probably just by going to the website, which is hearts-and hearts-entwined.com.
Brilliant. Hearts-entwined.com. Thank you so much, Lyn. I've really enjoyed talking to you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to know more about me, go to my website, wendykatewell.co.uk, where you can find out about my services and how to contact me. Until next time, bye!